Welcome into the Wiltfong Whiparound with Steve Wiltfong game week. It is here. We made it. Today is Thursday, August 29th. We got Steve Wiltfong here. I'm your host, Josh Newberg. And let's get this season started right. Hit subscribe to the On3 Recruits channel. If you watched even one of my videos during the offseason, then make sure you hit subscribe right now because we only turn it up during the season. Also, get signed up for On3 for just $1. Use promo code FONG1. Everything Steve, Chad, Pete Nagos, everything that they write, you can get it for just $1. Promo code FONG1 will get you there. Go sign up right now. All right, big show today. Let's bring in Steve Wiltfong. These Thursday shows.
You wish the season just started, but that Georgia Tech win over the Noles in Ireland counted in week 0, buddy.
I thought that was preseason.
0-1 going into BC Monday night.
It's a good year to start 0-1 with the college football playoffs here. So if there's ever a year to start 0-1, this is it. All right, Steve, these Thursday shows are going to have the same rhythm probably each week during the season. We're going to preview where the top recruits are going. Then on Monday, we're going to recap what went on with the top recruits and where they visited. So let's get it going. Let's talk Duce Knight. It seems like we've been previewing this flip for like the last 5 or 6 weeks. He still hasn't done it. Duce Knight, the number 7 ranked quarterback in America, still committed to Notre Dame. Steve, do you think he will be committed to Notre Dame after this upcoming visit to Auburn?
I think he'll eventually be committed to Auburn. That timetable of when he'll flip is still kind of up in the air, but continue to love the way it's trending for the Tigers. You know, his relationship with Hugh Freeze and that coaching staff, the trajectory of the program, the offense, mainly it being in the SEC. I think he wants to play in the SEC, proximity to home. Auburn's rich tradition at the quarterback position, some of the names that have played under center from Cam Newton to Jason Campbell. I think all that excites him. I think he's built a rapport with the freshman receivers on the roster. I think he started to click with the recruiting class, guys like Alvin Henderson. And I think he's had conversations with guys that are on the board for Auburn that are strongly considering the Tigers as well. So I like the way it's leading up for Auburn here. But Ole Miss trying to get him on campus. Notre Dame trying to say, watch us play. Notre Dame still recruiting him status quo, Josh. He has not told them that he's out, so they're still having regular dialogue. They're trying to get him up for the Louisville game where they'll have a bunch of commits on campus. We'll see. But I like where Auburn stands here as they push not for a top 5 class, not for a top 3 class, but maybe the number 1 class in the country.
What do you think happens first? Duce Knight flips his commitment to Auburn, or Duce Knight makes a return trip to South Bend?
I think he'll flip to Auburn, but people are battling.
All right. Let's actually talk about right here. Let's talk about Andrew Babalola. I know he's not visiting Auburn this weekend, but he's another one that we've kind of been waiting on a commitment. We don't have a solid date. We've heard maybe early September when his high school season begins. But what's the latest on Andrew Babalola?
Well, he wanted to decide in the summer. Then he wanted to decide before the first day of school. Now he's trying to decide before his first game, which is not this Friday, but next Friday. Mm-hmm. Stanford was considered the favorite going into the summer. I think that Stanford has fallen back some. I think he's still interested in Stanford. I think he's got family very interested in Stanford. But I think the and Stanford has changed to and Michigan. We've talked about that on several shows. We've written that. I still feel the same way. I think you got Michigan at or near the top of the list right now. Certainly wouldn't be surprised if he chose to don a winged helmet and play for the Maize and Blue. Regular dialogue with Auburn, man. Talking to Hugh Freeze, Coach Thornton, Coach Petard. A lot of guys involved in that recruitment for Auburn. Regular dialogue. He's talking to Bill Beatenbaugh in Oklahoma, Brent Venables. All the time. Missouri's trying to hang in there. Michigan is definitely in the forefront of this recruitment. Wouldn't be surprised if he still picked Stanford. I wouldn't be surprised if he picked Auburn. So those are kind of the schools I'm viewing the most. Oklahoma, if they land him, that'll be the best offensive line class in the country. They already got 2 tackles in the fold. They're trying to get Andrew Babalola in there alongside Foji and Michael Fasusi. But Michigan, are they battling Stanford? Are they battling Oklahoma? Are they battling Auburn? It depends on the source.
Yeah. Duce Knight and Andrew Babalola could end up making a decision on the same day. It could be next Friday, next Saturday, somewhere in that range. Is that a coincidence, or should we be looking into that?
I think that Andrew Babalola is doing his own thing. Could he end up being Duce Knight's teammate at Auburn? Yes. Have they talked about it? I think they have. But I think that Andrew Babalola is making the best decision for him. Duce Knight's making the best decision for him. Could that ultimately be Auburn? Recruiting's a game of inches. Does a Duce Knight inch push Auburn ahead of Michigan, Stanford, Oklahoma? I still think he's doing what's best for him. What offensive line coach does he think is going to get the best out of him? Who has the best academic arena for him? He's a high academic young man. And where does he feel most comfortable in the locker room?
All right, Auburn fans, talk to us. When do you guys think this flip is going down? Let us know. Comment section below. Is it going to happen this weekend? Is it going to happen next week? Let us know. All right, Steve, let's talk some Georgia recruiting because there are going to be 5 stars in Atlanta. I know it's not a home game for the Dogs. They're just traveling a little bit down to Atlanta to play Clemson, and there's a pair of 5 stars that we want to talk about. Elijah Griffin and Justice Terry, both going to be in the stands watching this one. Significant for the Bulldogs?
Absolutely. It's an opportunity for them to play in front of maybe the top 2 players still on the board for Georgia right now, the number 1 and number 2 defensive linemen in the country, Elijah Griffin and Justice Terry. Georgia's trending on the on-3 RPM for both. Elijah Griffin's going to take his official visit this fall. I wouldn't be surprised if he's committed to the Bulldogs before the end of the season. Justice Terry's the interesting one, right? I like where Georgia stands. My on-3 RPMs on the Bulldogs. He has proven that he could commit elsewhere. He has been committed to USC. He is going to be at the Georgia-Alabama game in Tuscaloosa at the end of the month. He had a great official visit to Alabama in the summer. He maintains communication with Freddie Roach. But I know with Georgia and I know with Justice Terry, he feels at home in that locker room. Trey Scott gets Justice Terry's game film from this first game of the season, has it cut up, ready to coach him right now at Manchester High. They're going over that film together. So Trey Scott going the extra mile like he always does with top recruits with Justice Terry. Justice Terry thinks he could be his best version of himself playing for Coach Scott, loves being around the Georgia football program. But Alabama's obviously in the mix here as well.
Yeah, Bama's still buzzing when it comes to Justice Terry. The Bulldogs, they are sitting at number 4, but obviously they want to finish with the number 1 ranked class in America. And to do that, they're going to need to land a couple more recruits. I mean, obviously Elijah Griffin and Justice Terry will get them closer, but on 300 running back Usman Kroma is going to attend the Georgia game as well this weekend. I've thought that this is more of an Auburn-FSU battle, but is Georgia kind of making a run at Kroma right now?
Well, he could attend the Georgia game, Josh, as things develop and intel continues to come in. He could be at the Auburn game on Saturday. Could
be a pivotal
we'll
visit.
See where he shows up. I think he'll make some rounds this fall. I'm starting to get an Auburn vibe again for Kroma. You know, there's been times where I've liked Florida State. I know I've said, hey, if Georgia's pushing, I think they can get it done. So that's certainly in the back of my mind. But I think Auburn is the program that's got some momentum for Kroma right now. Will he be at the Georgia game on Saturday? Will he be at the Auburn game on Saturday? I'm interested to see where he pops up.
All right. In your article that you wrote on 3 that guys can go read for just $1 using promo code FONG1, you said there's a chance that we'll see several committed prospects to other schools attending this Georgia-Clemson game. Give the people a hint at who you're hinting at.
Well, Chad Simmons just posted one. Top 100 offensive lineman, Damola Ajadon, currently committed to Georgia Tech. Coming out of his official visit to Georgia in the summer, I thought he was a heavy Bulldog lean, but Brent Key and company were able to get that done for Georgia Tech. But Georgia's fighting back. We said they would. Here they are, game 1, looking to lay it down in front of Damola. Hey, come play offensive line for the Bulldogs. A couple of other names that I'm certainly keeping a keen eye on. Kevin Wynn, defensive tackle, committed to Florida State. He's another that after his official visit to Georgia, and you get this a lot, they don't land everybody, but official visits to Georgia tend to be big needle movers. And I was thinking there might be a good chance Kevin Wynn ends up at Georgia. Maybe that's still the case. Georgia wants another linebacker. They're recruiting several committed elsewhere. One of them's Tavian Wallace, who made a surprising commit to Arkansas over Florida State and Georgia back in the summer. We'll see if he pops up inside Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Whether he does or doesn't, Georgia's going to stay on Tavian Wallace and other top high-profile linebackers. And go back and watch Monday's show, Josh. We talked about who's going to finish number 1 in the standings. Georgia's going to have some big flips in them like they did KJ Bolden at the end of last cycle. Who's it going to be this cycle? Those are some of the names to keep an eye on.
All right, and we also expect some 2026 and 2027 prospects to be there. The number one sophomore in America, LaDamian Guyton, he's going to be on hand. That's big for the Dogs. Any other names stand out to you that you're expecting from the 26 and 27 classes?
Yeah, Josh, you got on 300 edge rusher Chase Linton. He's in the 25 class. He's another that Georgia's trending for as they push for the number one class. And they have two of the top linebackers in America in 2026 expected to be there, Tyler Atkinson and Xavier Griffin. Xavier Griffin's currently committed to USC. We've seen that story, that movie. USC, they're recruiting the right kids. They're going into the Peach State. They're getting early verbals. Bulldogs going to make it hard for them to keep them.
Hey, it's always going to be hard for USC to keep these guys from the state of Georgia or from the South. But Dog fans, talk to us. Let us know, how are we feeling about this season opener and the recruits that are going to be there? Talk to us. Let us know. Comment section below. All right, this weekend in Gainesville, the Gators have a huge opportunity on Saturday when they play the Miami Hurricanes. Billy Napier and his staff are going to have some elite prospects on the sidelines to watch this. And Steve, we've talked all summer about how top prospects want to see what the Florida Gators put on the field this season. A win against Miami would really get things started on the right foot. DJ Pickett, Oregon, DJ Pickett committed to LSU. Also, Oregon commitment, Dallas Wilson confirmed. They're going to be there. Could UF have a chance to double back on some of these guys if they win big this season?
Absolutely. We've been saying it all spring and summer. Florida finishing as a runner-up, getting in the top 5 for a lot of these blue chippers that committed elsewhere. They're keeping Florida warm. They want to see what the Gators look like this fall because they have a great relationship with Coach Napier. They love the staff. Florida has the resources to recruit the best players in the country. It's all about what are you going to do on the field. It's year 3 of the Billy Napier era. They had to change a whole culture when they got there. They feel like they've recruited and hit the portal, put this program in a position to go out there week 1, win this game against Miami and be very competitive in the SEC. And if they do that, Florida's going to be a fun team to follow on the trail down the stretch. Now, DJ Pickett in particular, his dad told me earlier this week or over the weekend that his son is 1,000% committed to LSU. He has 3 LSU game visits on the radar, but Billy Napier has not quit. He's taken that recruitment by the horns. He's the one leading the charge. He's been in regular communication. They get a chance to show DJ Pickett some stuff this weekend. Wilson committed to Oregon. That's always going to be a tough flip from Oregon, but Florida's one of the programs he's keeping a keen eye on. Florida's got a chance to sign maybe the best receiver class in the country. They got Vernell Brown, Nashawn Montgomery, Joshua Moore, all in the fold. If they're able to add Wilson to it, that would be stacked. Now, Miami's trying to flip a couple of those guys too. They're going to try and keep legacy recruit Vernell Brown warm. Joshua Moore, that one's going to be a battle till the end for him. So a big opportunity for Florida to solidify with Joshua Moore and then maybe make a move with some of those other cats.
All right. On3's number 1 ranked linebacker, Ty Jackson. He's going to be at the game. We've been talking about that all week. But also, 4-star linebacker Nathaniel Osu-Boateng. He's also going to be there. He's a top target for the Gators as well. Which one would you say UF is in better shape with heading into the weekend? And ultimately, do you think they have a shot at landing them both?
Ty Jackson's who they have a better shot at right now heading into the weekend. There's no question that Florida's at or near the top of his list. He's also excited about Alabama. He's going to USC next weekend. Tennessee's in the mix. Penn State's in the mix. Florida State's getting the last official. I'm looking at Florida, Alabama, and Florida State as my front runners in this recruitment, but he's keeping dialogue up with all 6. Talking to his dad. He visited Florida in the summer, visited Florida for his official in June, visited him again at the end of the summer in July. He's been there like 8 or 9 times. It's a put-up year. I mean, that's what Samaj's dad said. It's time to prove it on the field. We got the new strength coach, got the new nutritionist. This coaching staff's been there a while. They're excited to see Florida play Gators championship level football, and it starts with that game against Miami on Saturday. And if Florida wins that in front of Ty Jackson, it only improves their chances. They're already in great position. But this is they're all big opportunities. It starts with this Miami game. You and I have talked about it's not going to get any easier, but Florida's gotten a big win at home every year of the Billy Napier era. They start off beating Utah. They kicked Tennessee's behind last year. DJ Pickett was at that game. You know, they're trying to come out strong against Miami in week 1. Josh, who do you like in week 1? I know you're asking me questions, but you got Florida or you got Miami?
Man, I think I'm taking the Gators at home. I think it's going to be a good season for Miami. I don't think this makes or breaks Miami season at all. I think this game's way more important for the Gators because of that schedule that we talked about, and the that run doesn't get any easier if they lose the first game. So I think, Miami's going to have a good season, but a transfer quarterback coming in game one to play in the swamp, that's a tough task. So I like Florida here. Before we get out of this Florida segment, I want to talk to you about a couple more flip targets. We're talking a pair of Auburn commits, and Malik Autry and Tavares Dice going to be there. Also, Jarquez Carter, who's committed to Ohio State. He's a big-bodied defensive lineman from the state of Florida that Ohio State landed over really all 5 of the in-state Florida schools.
I was recently introduced to Roback, and I couldn't be more excited. When I say impressed by the quality and comfort, I mean it. I literally can't take this stuff off since trying it on. For starters, the Roback polos are my favorite polos. They not only have fun designs for every occasion and season, but they fit perfectly and easily transition throughout the day. Roback's everyday shorts are the perfect pairing as well. They are so comfortable and have an elastic waistband and great fabric that is made to stretch. Finally, the Roback hoodie is by far my favorite piece of clothing I own. It is so comfortable. I wear this to start my day, end my day, and everything in between. Easy to be active in it or just relax. The hoodie will fit whatever the day has in store. They have also released a ton of new products. Between their brand new Tailwind tees and bathing suits, Roback is ready for the warm weather. Roback has also been proudly leading the NIL charge, having signed partnerships with college stars Jalen Milroe, Cade Klubnik, among many others that are becoming the go-to brand for college athletes. Use the code STEVE on Roback.com for a generous 20% off for all new customers through the end of this week. That's spelled RHOBACK.com. That's 20% off all performance polos, shorts, and more with the code STEVE. Well, Jarquez Carter told me he just wants to see a big game against 2 big-time in-state teams. Malik Autry, I've always thought that's going to be a tough flip from Auburn. He's certainly made a lot of rounds and a lot of visits. He's been to Florida before. Let's just see how the season goes. Auburn's got to play a lot of games this year too. They're as hot as anybody on the recruiting trail, but they got to go out and show improvement in year 2 of the Hugh Freeze era as well, just like Florida's trying to do in year 3.
All right, Steve, your prediction on the Florida-Miami game?
I'm going to go with the Gators as well. I think that they got something. There's a lot of confidence around the Gators program right now. When you talk to their coaches and staff, they feel really good about having Graham Mertz back under center. DJ Lagway, obviously pushing him, but they feel like they got a veteran football team. They got some playmakers that can finally do something out on the perimeter. And again, they're tough at home in games like this. But we'll see who we're talking about in our first recruit reaction show on Saturday evening. Is that going to be a Miami storyline, all those recruits watching the Hurricanes get a big win? Or is it going to be recruits soaking up a tremendous atmosphere inside the swamp as Florida gets a big win to start their season?
Yeah, and you guys need to tune in. Nothing like this has ever been done. Me and Steve are going to do a Saturday, a live recruit reaction show. Yeah, of course, we're going to talk football, but we're going to kind of talk it from a recruiting perspective. We're going to try to get some recruiting writers on to kind of tell the story of what's happening. Also, recruits themselves. Eventually, we want this to be a interactive call-in show. Recruits, fans, just come hang out with us. Check it out. We're going to do it every Saturday, and it's going to be live right here on the On3 Recruits channel. All right, Ole Miss. They are bringing in a couple key targets as well. The state's #1 prospect and On3 industry #2 ranked wide receiver, 5-star Caleb Cunningham, is going to be in Oxford this weekend. Lane Kiffin not going away in this Caleb Cunningham recruitment, huh?
They hang in there with any in-state recruit. Caleb Cunningham visited there in the summer. Really enjoyed his film session with offensive coordinator Charlie Weiss Jr. Loves the recent history of wideouts that have come out of Ole Miss, from A.J. Brown to D.K. Metcalf to Elijah Brown. He thinks he could potentially be the next one. Now, it's not going to be an easy flip from Alabama. Alabama got it done with their official visit at the end of summer. Ole Miss still has their official visit in play, Josh. I expect him to come back for the Georgia or Oklahoma game during the season. on an official visit. So this isn't going to be Ole Miss's only opportunity to move the needle with Caleb Cunningham. And this is a recruitment, as our colleague Chad Simmons said, it's going to go all the way to December.
All right. Now, Pensacola on 300 safety, Ladarian Clarity. He was set to make his decision right here on the On3 Recruit channel in early August. But he called me one morning and said, Josh, I'm not ready. He pushed his date back to September 21. Now, he's going to be in Oxford as well this weekend. Who else is involved in this recruitment right now?
Well, he told me his top two is Ole Miss and Washington. He's excited to get back around the coaches, check out this atmosphere on the Grove Saturday night. I still give the edge to Ole Miss right now. He says it's the Huskies that are in his top two.
That's crazy. So he's from Florida, and it's down to Ole Miss and Washington. See how that plays out. All right.
Well, we'll see what happens. Florida State's not going to roll over.
Yeah, Florida State has been involved in that one as well, just down the road on I-10. All right, Lane Kiffin has the nation's number 24 ranked class. What's your realistic expectations for high school recruiting for Ole Miss in 2025? Where do you think fans should expect them to finish?
Well, I think that their max is always top 20. If they can get into the top 20, it's a special year, own the state. They did a great job of recruiting the D-line last year and also obviously crushing it at that position and overall in the transfer portal. So, but top 20 class, own your state, crushing the portal. That's kind of the recipe for Ole Miss right now. And they come into this season with a chance to win the national championship. I mean, they've put together a roster that can go toe-to-toe with all the teams in the SEC. That's the expectation, and it gets started Saturday night.
Yeah. All right. They've been a great team when it comes to just roster talent acquisition. Ole Miss, that's why I kind of preface it by saying, what should their expectations be? Not meaning that they're missing expectation, but Ole Miss is just one of these different programs where it doesn't always go as conventionally as some of the other programs in their conference.
Top 20 recruiting classes, top 10 portal classes, develop and scheme.
Yep. That's the formula for Ole Miss. All right, let's head down to Texas A&M. They're hosting roughly 100 recruits for the debut of Mike Elko as they take on Notre Dame, one of the biggest games. We're definitely going to be talking about that on our recruit reaction show as well. And one of the big names that stuck out to me is Husan Longstreet. I know he's committed to Texas A&M, but we've talked on this channel plenty about his flirtation with USC and Coach Lincoln Riley up there. How important is this visit for Longstreet to A&M?
I think it was more USC flirting with Longstreet and Longstreet seeing a pretty girl, Lincoln Riley, developed 3 Heisman Trophy winners, 3 number 1 overall picks. Let me hear what he has to say. But I still think he's solid with Texas A&M. His brother's on the team for the Aggies. He was up there to help move him in this summer. He's back on campus. There's 18 commits back on campus, including Husan Longstreet, and he appears to be locked in with the Aggies. It was a tough recruitment for him. They beat Auburn. For Husan Longstreet. That one went down to the wire. Auburn really pushing it to the end. But Husan Longstreet loves Coach Klein, loves where Coach Elko and this program are at. He's excited to see it kick off on Saturday night against the Irish.
All right. What other big names are you expecting to be in attendance for this one?
Well, I do think that they're going to have some major flip candidates, so we'll be talking about that on Saturday on our show, so you'll want to be tuned in. But Jerome Miles is the big name on campus that's public right now. He is an electric receiver from Utah. He goes 6'3". He runs 10.3 in the 100-meter dash, runs 4.4 in the 40. He was running by IMG Academy's DBs all night on Friday to the tune of 3 touchdowns. A&M, maybe their top remaining target, regardless of position. They want to get more dynamic at the wide receiver position. Jerome Miles is a guy that took his official visit in the summer. Now he's coming back for an unofficial visit in front of a raucous 12th man crowd. And Texas A&M, it'll be interesting to see where they stand. They're going to try and get him around the commits and Husan Longstreet a lot, get him to really fit in with those guys because he's going to USC the following weekend. And then Georgia's going to get an official visit. He's trying to get something on the books for Ohio State. But right now, Utah is the on-3 RPM favorite. A&M, one of the programs trying to change that. They got a huge opportunity. And I also think that A&M leads for his current quarterback, 2026 4-star Helaman Kasaga, who's going to be in with a bunch of family. Now, they're battling Washington for him, but I think Texas A&M leads going into the weekend.
All right, Texas A&M fans, talk to us. Who are you most excited about seeing on the sideline? Let us know. Comment section below. All right, Steve, let's go through some quick hitters. Now, USC and LSU, they're going to match up in a neutral site game in Las Vegas. We expect 2 5-stars from the 2026 class of that one, Jakeem Stewart and Ryder Lyons.
Yeah, and there's been times where USC has looked like they've had the momentum for Jakeem Stewart. Maybe I would say right now it's Ohio State. Now, there's people that are like, at the end of the day, it is going to be hard for him to not go to LSU, being an in-state kid.
I'm in that
camp. The Tigers are going to pour a lot into that. But Ohio State has done a fantastic job of recruiting him. USC's gotten him to campus several times. Coach Henderson has all the Louisiana ties. He's close with Jakeem Stewart's camp. He's excited to get out there and see 2 of his top teams. Oregon probably rounds out the top 4 right now for Jakeem Stewart. So that Oregon-Ohio State game is going to be pivotal later in the year. We know he's going to get to Death Valley for a game or 2 this fall. But USC is one of the front runners, and if they could go out there and beat LSU here early in the season, it would be massive for a young man that's still working towards trying to reclassify. And then Ryder Lyons, I think that USC is the program to beat right now. Chad Simmons has an on-3 RPM in favor of the Trojans. Probably not long till I join him. But he had a really good SEC swing. Saw some schools like Auburn and Texas A&M. But USC's had the momentum with Ryder Lyons for a while. And so I like where they stand, obviously, going into this game visit.
All right, Steve, take us out of here with a little intel on Ohio State and South Carolina.
Yeah, 5-star receiver Chris Henry, the number 1 player in the country per the On3 industry. Chris Henry Jr. will be back at Ohio State this weekend, and they'll be happy to see him as he took a end of the summer visit to Oregon, and the Ducks are turning up the heat for Chris Henry Jr. Maybe like Jeremiah Smith, this will be a tough flip for any program because of how much love he has for Ohio State, having the Ohio roots, the relationship with Brian Hartline, and knowing that Hartline can push him to be the best he can be. But Oregon is certainly doing a great job there. And then you have on 300 2025 tight end Mikael Skinner, currently committed to Cincinnati. He is taking a visit to South Carolina this weekend after taking an official to the Gamecocks campus during the summer. I think they're trying to rally on Kentucky, led by Vince Marrow. I think Kentucky is the program to beat. He's going to be at Kentucky in 2 weeks for the Kentucky-South Carolina game. So South Carolina gets them on campus this weekend. Then they get a chance to go up to Lexington and maybe get a big win on the road in the SEC against Kentucky. So they'll have an opportunity there, but I think right now Kentucky has the momentum there. That will do it for today's episode of Wiltfong Whiparound. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you please hit like and subscribe so you're up to date on all the latest shows on the On3 Recruits channel, from the Inside Scoop to the 5-Star Flex with Philip Dukes to Wiltfong Whiparound to our new recruiting show on Saturday. All the commitments in between. We will be back on Saturday. Then Wiltfong Whiparound is moving to Tuesday because all of you guys will be at Lake Cottages enjoying your Labor Day weekend. Take care. We'll see you soon.